Welcome to Life Mastery for Women, where I help you decode the struggles in your life in the areas of health, wealth, relationships, and spirituality with mind mastery, emotional management, and meditation. Welcome to today's podcast. Hey ladies, it's Jen Mack, Lady of the Mind. Welcome to today's episode, where I hope that I am finding you feeling quite satisfied in your life. If you're not satisfied in your life, then it is my intention that in today's episode, I give you just one nugget of inspiration towards your transformation. I remember in a relationship, we were fighting, not getting along, not being able to see eye to eye, trying to express my perspective and not being able to communicate it clearly. And my partner at the time couldn't understand what I was trying to convey and seemingly didn't care. And I remember when she fell asleep, I lay there for what seemed like hours staring at the ceiling, feeling the most alone I've ever felt. It's to me, it is the worst feeling in the world to be lying next to somebody who you love and relationship that you want to be solid and you feel alone. And I think that sense of feeling alone comes from not being heard or understood. And my whole entire life, I felt misunderstood. So I don't know if this is you, if you ever feel like something in your life just isn't right and you're trying to communicate and people just can't understand. They can't understand you, or they don't support you, or they're in their own junk and they just can't be there for you. Have you ever felt that way? Do you feel that way now? Do you have a support system? Because that's where I started. Just in yesterday's podcast, I said, my mom always wanted me to go back to church. And I remember talking about this relationship with her and telling her how awful I felt in the relationship. And she said, you need to just go back to church. And I said, my church experience was terrible. I don't want to go back to church. It's not a safe place for me. And my experience was that I had to hide who I was. Growing up as a teenager, knowing that something was very different about me, but I couldn't quite figure out what it was. And I sure in hell wasn't going to tell anybody that I was gay. You don't share that information back in the 80s and the early 90s. You just don't tell people. Now it's almost this big celebration. You're different. Yay. You got something different going on. We celebrate differences. We celebrate how we can live our lives authentically, which is great. But that's not what I grew up with. So all these years of hiding who I was becomes very wearing on the soul. And you start to not like yourself because you have to hide who you are. Now, you might not be gay, but is there something that you're hiding? Is there something within you that you want to let loose? This authenticity, this being, this power, this thing that's inside that is yearning to grow and expand, and you're not going with it. Because if we don't align with who we are, if we don't align with that spiritual being that's inside pushing us forward, we tend to become disconnected. And it is in that disconnection, that very disconnection, that gives us a sensation of being alone on this planet. I went through this for a really long time, and in those mid to late 90s, I was very suicidal. I was very depressed. I felt uncomfortable in my own skin. And I've met some clients recently where that is the exact words. They couldn't even put the words to how they felt. And I said, do you feel uncomfortable in your own skin? And they're like, Jen, you nailed it. That's exactly how I feel. That's a disconnect. Do you feel that way? Do you feel lonely? Do you feel alone on this planet? Do you feel alone in your family where people they don't understand you, they don't get you, or even they don't even try, or they try to correct you? Like, Jen, hey, wait. You shouldn't become an entrepreneur. It's too hard. You're not going to make a lot of money. You're going to struggle your entire life. So I'd go get another job. I would struggle in that job. Not because I was a bad employee. I just became bored. I learned everything I could. I became really good at it and really skilled. So much so that the bosses within a very short period of time would want to promote me. And I'm like, wait, I don't want to be promoted. I don't want to own the place. I just want to make some money and come in and do my job. And I take a lot of pride in what I do. And I can make you proud because I love that kind of atmosphere, right? And I love the structure. And it's kind of freeing. I can just go to work and just do what I do, and then I could just leave, right? And it's someone else's responsibility. So it's a whole new game to play as an entrepreneur, for sure. But there was something great inside me, a fire that was lit when I was 12 years old. And I remember it very clear, standing on the shed. It was a garage. We just didn't use it as a garage. We always called it the shed. So we're standing on the shed, overlooking these acres and acres and acres of corn. And I remember pacing on the top of the shed, which is what I do on stage, ironically. And my mom was inside paying bills, and she was struggling really, really hard with lack of money and struggling with raising two very energetic kids and feeling alone. And I remember saying to myself as a 12-year-old, there's got to be a better way. And I could tell you that it was in that moment that I learned all these things, and I dove right into this personal development field and tried to find that better way, but that's not the real story. But that was a catalyst that started my journey. Because then later, when I had relationship issues and I went to the bookstore and I said, there's got to be a better way. I answered that question for myself, and things started to align for me. Things started to move in the direction. I started to understand that the information, the problem I was having, I was not the only one. I was not the only one who was having relationship issues. I was not even the only gay person on the planet who couldn't have a solid relationship. But I chose a different path. I chose a different story, and I chose to tell myself different words. I used to say, I was like, I'm going to do something different. There are people out there, I just know it, who are like me, who have struggled with relationships, but they found harmony. They found love at last. And I know that I can too. And it was in those moments that I used those words to help me find the information, to find the solution. And I did. Now, it took me some years because I had to change who I was. I didn't know anything. I didn't have any support. I didn't have a community. I had to change who I was. I had to change on the inside. And it was changing on the inside that created a new on the outside. My world and my experience started to shift slowly, but I could see it shifting because I felt different. I felt different. You can't change the outside. You spend too much energy and too much time trying to manipulate the physical world to try to get it to match what you want on the inside, but it's faster if you focus on the inside first. It's faster. It's more powerful. So if you're having a problem on the outside, something that is happening that is making you feel alone, immediately go inward. Ask yourself, what do I have to do to connect with my spirit? Because it was in that connection that made me feel grounded, made me have purpose, made me know that I was here for something great. And you are too, whether you're an entrepreneur or not, you are meant for something great. Every single one of us is. You have a talent that is meant to be shared with the world. You're not meant to suffer. That's part of our mind keeping us safe, and we have to go against that, of course, and it's challenging, I understand. And I face it too. But I set up these tools and techniques in front of me that as I'm walking along my journey, I pick these tools up to keep myself front-loaded. My goals in mind, the thing that I want to achieve, and the person and the woman that I want to become. Because it's in that destiny and in that vision that allows me to keep those tools in front of me, so I pick them up before there's a problem, before I feel terrible, before emotions run away with me or knock me down. But if you're feeling lonely, it's because you're disconnected. So what can you do to become connected again? Well, it starts with one thing. It starts with loving yourself. It starts with loving and caring for yourself enough to start putting different things in your day. It starts with finding things that you enjoy and putting those on your calendar every day and doing it just because you enjoy it, because you're worth it and you deserve it. And it's in those things that allow you to become your own best friend. When you move there, you won't feel lonely again. Because this is you becoming your best friend with you. This is you and your spirit connecting. Then once you connect with your spirit, you start getting nudges and intuitive guidance to move you towards the happiness, the health, the deeper connections. Because I stand and I look at my life right now and I have a family. I have 3 beautiful boys that I absolutely love with my whole heart. I have 2 great dogs. I have a wonderful, beautiful partner and a life that this is what I wanted. But it took me a while. And why did it take me a while? Because I had to change the things inside that were poisoning my mind and they were disconnecting me from my spirit. So let me save you some of the time. If you are feeling at all like that, if you are feeling depressed, if you are feeling disconnected, if you are feeling alone, then it is your number one task, your number one homework is to reconnect with you. There's lots and lots of ways to do this, but my favorite is to create those things that bring you joy. And so many of my clients will go, yeah, but I don't know what that is. I care for my kids. That's being a mom. It's like, well, okay, well, be a mom. That's fine. You can do that, but find something else. Open your computer, go to Google and type something in, something you want to learn, something you want to read about, something that you want to engage in, something that is just going to be interesting to you. Do you want to travel? Do you want to learn how to knit? Do you want to learn how to bead jewelry or paint or dance? You want to learn the Congo? How about the two-step? Do you want to learn how to bake? Do you want to learn a new instrument? This is where our life starts shifting, is when we start diving deeper into ourselves to uncover those things that truly make us happy. And it is in the tasky things that we start losing our energy and we start losing our focus, that's when we start feeling disconnected. Because our spirit is quiet, but powerful. Our spirit is not going to push you, bug you, pull you in any direction because we have free will, right? We've heard of that. I can do anything I want. I can go anywhere, do anything. I could do illegal things. I could do legal things. I could leave. I could stay. I could anything I want, which is great. However, when you want happiness, that is in connecting with Source. That's connecting with the source from which you came. And it is in that connection that starts to unfold this inner power within you that will move you in the direction of more happiness, more abundance, more health, deeper connections with people that you didn't think you could ever connect with. And it is there that we find true happiness and balance and harmony. But when we don't learn to connect, like I'm saying, you could learn meditation or not. You could just go for walks. You could take on something new and literally have the focus of, what am I going to do today that's going to bring me joy? And it is anything. Every day it could be something different. I'm going to go for a bike ride. Today I'm going to go kayaking. I'm going to take the dogs for a walk. I'm going to explore a new space. I'm going to go for a drive. I'm going to bake cookies. I'm going to go get new fish. I'm going to let my turtles run around in the backyard. I'm going to go rock climbing. I'm going to go meet up with a friend for coffee. And the list just goes on and on and on. So here's your homework. Here's my recommendation. If you are at all feeling like crap, you just don't care, you just feel alone, nobody in this world loves you, your relationship is falling, your kids don't call, your job is sucky, your boss is an idiot, whatever, turn those things off. Turn that noise off. And for a moment, give yourself a sense of peace from looking at those things and talking about those things and complaining about those things. And look over here and make a list, a giant list. Maybe I'm going to challenge you to write 100 things on that list. 100 things on that list. Things that you would enjoy doing, learning about, or having. And write that list down. And I encourage you and I invite you to open up this portal to power. Open up this portal to happiness. Look in a different direction. Just yesterday, we talked about problem solving, and we talked about, instead of regurgitating the problem every 5 seconds and going on and on and on, because you're creating momentum in the problem, is come over here and focus on the solution. Write the problem down in one statement, and now puke out 100 different ways you can solve that problem. It's going to feel better when you're talking about the solution. You're going to feel more empowered, and you're going to solve it. And over here, if you're feeling alone, come over here on this blank sheet of paper and write 100 things down that bring you joy. And then, of course, you know what the next thing is. Start doing those things. Start plugging them into your daily routine. Light incense. Go for a walk. Plant a tree. Work in the garden. Read a book. Play with clay. Play with Play-Doh. Read to a child. Walk your dog. Go get a gerbil. Get a bird. Whatever is on your list, pick one thing. And only maybe for a few minutes you do that thing purely for the sake of it bringing you joy. That to me is self-love. That to me is you creating this relationship and this connection with your source, with your spirit. You're going to find that you're going to start feeling better. You're going to start having deeper connections. You're going to feel happier, which then that's going to spill out into your family, your relationships, your work, your bank account, because it starts from the inside. It starts from the inside, not out there. There isn't anything that your spouse can do to make you happy. You have to fill it up. You have to start getting rid of the negative energy from which you don't like yourself. And I guarantee you, I promise you, you start living from this angle, you start living from this place of joy, even if it's a few minutes here and there, you will start to feel better. Because it was in that time where I started to like myself again that I started to feel connected. And it is in that space of connection that true happiness lies. Now, if you are truly feeling alone and you need a community and you want a community where you feel safe, accepted, and heard, then I've got your group. I've got your group. And that is a women's community on Facebook called Lady Rising. If you haven't joined us yet, please do come in through the membership area, through those questions, say, I heard about it from Jen's podcast. And I would love to have you join a sister call where we're just conversing. We're bringing the community together online where we can just be there for each other. We share our struggles, we share our successes, and we support one another. That is my mission, is to build this community of safety, total acceptance, where we can listen to each other. And intuitively we can connect. And this way, it starts to wipe out the feeling of loneliness on this planet with what? It's like 8 billion people. Nobody should ever feel alone. You should feel heard. You should feel accepted. And I hope you'll join my community. Even if you just join the Facebook and you can just post in there and share in there and hear other stories that are happening. And I just encourage you to check us out and give us a chance and see how it goes for you. And you can ask your questions and you can get the support that you need. So I hope you'll join us. In the meantime, please make your list and start filling in the blanks. Start filling in your calendar on a daily basis, things that bring you joy, just for the sake of bringing you joy. And watch how your happiness and your connectedness start to rise. If you liked this episode and you look forward to future episodes and are really looking for a community to help support you with implementing the tools that we're talking about in this podcast, please consider joining our online sister community called Lady Rising on Facebook, where we focus on that spiritual support and connection, just like in today's episode. I hope you'll join us. Go to Facebook, type in Lady Rising, and tell me you came in through the podcast.